Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday evening to you all. Hope you guys are doing well out there tonight and having yourselves a great ending to your day, a great work week out there. So, pretty much from here going forward throughout the rest of the work week, it's going to be pretty active. Tomorrow won't be as active as Friday, but tomorrow will be pretty active for a nice little chunk of the south central U.S., and we need to talk about that. Definitely some big hailers out there are certainly possible. In the weather community, we like to call it gorilla hail. And anytime you hear that term tossed around, Reed Timmer, I believe, came up with that, if I'm not mistaken. But anytime you hear the term gorilla hail thrown around, you know it's about to be a big chance for some big time hailstorms out there, and that is going to be the case in areas of Texas and really Oklahoma tomorrow. I would say the chances for significant hail has actually shifted more so into Oklahoma. We were really talking a lot about the hill country of Texas, but this has shifted a little bit further north, and we'll talk about why here in a second. But listen, Friday is going to be the big day. There is a chance for an outbreak of severe thunderstorms, all hazards. Pretty much prime ingredients to place in the low pressure with it deepening, strengthening, just screams severe weather. You're going to have a sector of ingredients that are going to support severe weather. And I really think this will hit areas of the western deep south. So Alabama, I don't think you guys will be under the gun as much, but certainly need to watch out late Friday night for Alabama. But this is really Louisiana, southern Arkansas, maybe up to western Tennessee and Mississippi for Friday. Could be a big day in all the bad ways. So we're going to talk about that, give you some good information, and try to figure this out for you guys. If you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it, and if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. I don't plan on chasing this event, guys. It's a little bit too far of a drive. I'm just not to the point where I can drive super far. It's kind of a mixture between that and then also trying to conserve my vacation time at work, especially for hurricane season. And you certainly have to just conserve it. You don't want to burn it up all in the beginning of the year. So I'm probably not going to chase again until April. And certainly we'll see if anything closer to home comes up. But water vapor loop, you can see this upper trough really well. And this is going to continue to kind of swing in here, and I'll actually become a little bit negatively tilted as a surface low will form and eject across areas of the southern plains and into the Mississippi Valley. Will it kind of come across this way, more so like that? Regardless, models are starting to agree somewhat that we're going to have a deepening low pressure, and it's going to be further south. The GFS will kind of show it very kind of in just more of a broad view here. The GFS, what happens, we get into Friday morning, surface low pops off here as we're getting into early Friday afternoon, and it's taking that track where it's pretty far south. In fact, there's a little bit of confusion of where the low pressure is going to be on the GFS, but in general it's going to eject across Arkansas. And look at the low pressure. This is when 7 p.m. Central Time. If the low pressure is this close, at the same time it's deepening, okay? It strengthens 4 millibars in about 6 hours. It's deepening, so that the low-level jet is really kicking. So you're going to have a lot of wind energy. It's going to be very gusty. This thing's going to take on a slight negative tilt, potentially. And here it is. Anytime you see like this like a low pressure this far south, just south of it, you're going to have some nasty ingredients for severe weather. Not always, but in a situation like this, absolutely. And then this is going to potentially turn to a winter storm for areas of the upper Midwest, Great Lakes. And we'll talk about that too. We'll talk about everything. So let's go on and jump right to the severe weather. Let's discuss tomorrow first. There's a slight risk, not super significant or anything, like an enhanced or higher, which I always consider. Once you get into enhanced category, that becomes significantly less common than, say, a slight risk. You can have a slight risk, a marginal slight risk, almost any day in the summer out there, especially a marginal risk in the southeast with pulse thunderstorms. But here we go. Slight risk extends from the hill country of Texas all the way up into portions of northeast Oklahoma. All right, tornado threat is very small, but basically there's a displacement of ingredients. Basically where you're going to have big time thermodynamics, higher surface temperatures, moisture building into the area, a lot of cape, a lot of storm fuel. But you're going to be lacking a low-level jet over this area, which is good because it would be a really significant tornado outbreak. But it begins to develop right beside the forcing of these thunderstorms. So it's going to kind of nip this area enough where you have a 2% chance of a tornado within 25 miles in any given location. So we need to be careful with this. Certainly watch out. This could upgrade to a 5% risk. I wouldn't be surprised one bit in this region right here. But the big threat is, yeah, you got a damaging wind threat, but the big threat is hail. Okay, you have not only a 15% chance to see significant hail, a 15% chance to see hail, you also have a 10% risk to see significant hail. That's 2-inch diameter or larger. This does include, you might as well say Oklahoma City. Technically it doesn't, but I wouldn't be surprised if this gets fully extended into Oklahoma City. Includes Wichita Falls, almost down to Abilene. So there's going to be a significant potential with hail with this setup. Cold air aloft, dry air aloft, and a lot of Cape bomb going on, a lot of fuel to the atmosphere, so we're certainly going to have this. So let's check out the evolution of the storms based off the latest long-range H-4 model. We'll start this off around 10 a.m. Central Time. Not a whole lot going on. Some showers begin to kind of develop in central Oklahoma. And then as we get to, I would say, about 2 to 4 p.m., I would say, storms begin to develop. And immediately these could start producing hail, south and southwest of Oklahoma. Right along the Red River here, there's going to be the potential for a hailstorm that could potentially go right through Oklahoma City. It's not like you guys aren't used to anything like that, but please be prepared for that. This is going to happen when it's still daylight. It's around 4 p.m. You already got some monster cells popping off here. And remember, this is right where that 2% risk is. So there is a small chance of a tornado. Okay, these storms form. They begin to kind of drift into areas of Missouri where, if you're in the Ozarks, northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, you guys could get some strong to severe storms too, northeast Oklahoma too, around Tulsa. But these kind of form, and then another area forms. Okay, you got another couple storms forming right back here, well north of Wichita Falls. And the forcing will be much better right into Oklahoma. But if anything pops off here in North Texas, we're starting to get to 8, 9, 10 p.m. now. For example, you see this little cell? You got to watch out. You got to watch out for this little cell. Low-level jets beginning to strengthen in this area, and you got to be careful with these. I mean, this is around 1 a.m. in the morning, Friday morning. Okay, you still got supercells developing, and then this cold front begins to get a move on. Therefore, all the storms begin to shift a little bit further east, and then a line develops at around 3, 4 a.m. very quickly, begins to sweep through areas along the cold front through North Texas. How does this connect? How doesn't it? I can definitely tell you that Oklahoma is going to see a lot of weather tomorrow. And then these storms will eventually, as we're getting into 7, 8 a.m., will drift into Arkansas and cause a lot of ruckus as you're waking up Friday morning. So that's how the storms could potentially look in Oklahoma and North Texas tomorrow. What's driving this? I know not as many people is interested in this, but your low-level jet, which is what you see in the purple right here, winds about, give or take, about a mile in the atmosphere. 4, 5, 6,000 feet up in the atmosphere is what we call our low-level jet. And this really gets amplified. It's really something we look at as far as a kinematic ingredient, meaning what kind of wind profiles, wind energy do we have in the upper levels of the atmosphere. You look at the 500 millibar tilt too. This is winds even further up than the 850s, okay? We're not going to get too detailed into that. I don't want to get super nerdy with you guys, but in general, I like to speak on the 3 or 4 main ingredients. Your low-level jet, your dew points, your cape, surface temperatures, all these kind of things, okay? You got other features like a cap, which will be in place. That's why you have a slight risk all the way down here, but I didn't even show it because there's no real storms developing. But I can tell you there could be some storms that develop here in central and southwest Texas, but models really aren't showing anything right now. But this is the low-level jet. We're getting into about midday. Notice all the storms are up here from what I just showed you on the last panel. All the storms are up here. The low-level jet's way over here. Okay, you got a 30, 40 knot low-level jet. So that's why, the tornado risk is right into here, right where it's flirting with the best kinematics. But in general, they're not very high. That's why there isn't a big tornado threat tomorrow. There's a displacement between the favorable kinematics, that low-level jet, wind profiles, and your thermodynamics, which is really high up into here. Okay, there's a big displacement. So that's why you don't have a huge day expected for tomorrow. Okay, but this really gets ramped up as we're getting into the evening. And then this is when that surface low up here begins to deepen wherever it may be, right into here. And this is when the low-level jet really starts kicking 40, 50, 60 knots in cases. And it really starts to beef up as we're getting into Friday morning, building into eastern Texas, where you will see the sky moving in eastern Texas Friday morning as this low-level jet really builds. What's really happened here is this has trended. Friday has really trended slower. So that's the reason why the threat level, I think, is shifting a little bit further west. Okay, but it could shift a little bit further. It could trend a little faster. Well, we're not going to stay on this long. We know dew points are going to be there. They're already there. It's already humid in Texas right now, and certainly we keep this going. Come on, baby. We need to get in motion right here. And we keep this going here. Dew points well into the 60s. You can actually see the cold front up here. There's going to be some type of tight gradient. That's why hail's going to be big here. You got a colliding of air masses sitting beside each other and kind of a stalled out boundary. So you got a lot of dry, cooler air overlapping in the upper levels of the atmosphere, but at the surface, you're still moist, you're still warm. So, I don't have to speak on this much. It's going to be a very moist field. One of the big ingredients for severe weather is moisture at the surface, higher dew points, the humidity, what you feel when you walk outside and you're like, dang, it's humid outside. That's what you're going to feel in Arkansas, Texas, Louisiana, even in areas of the deep south, even starting tomorrow where the severe weather threat won't even be that big. But the moisture is going to be here. Next thing you look at is the convective available potential energy here in the atmosphere here. CAPE, storm fuel. Okay, might have said that wrong. Acronym, CAPE, storm fuel, basically the energy in the atmosphere just ready to be tapped into. So we got that here, okay? We're getting into tomorrow, early afternoon. You already got CAPE building up into this area where you're expecting a higher hail threat. CAPE values at the mixed layer, okay, over 1,500 joules per kilogram in these areas. But it really gets high down here also. But there's a cap. There's a cap in place, preventing storms from really getting going down here. And it's not much, but it's there. There's a little bit of warm air. And storms are having a hard time deep down in Texas to fire, which is good because we would probably have some big-time hail. There's not much of a cap, but it's there. I kind of showed you a sounding a little bit later in the day once it erodes somewhat. But, there's going to be a lot of fuel to the atmosphere, even sitting here waiting as we're getting into overnight tomorrow night in Texas. Okay, so this is going to continue. Let's talk about Friday. There's an enhanced risk. This hasn't really changed since this morning. Sorry, it's all up in your face, but, I just want to make it big for you guys. Enhanced risk in the orange, slight risk in the yellow. Okay, big day Friday, potential for an outbreak. This definitely has a decent potential. I would say a higher than 50% chance to go moderate, level 4. Definitely too high to speak on high. It takes extreme confidence in an outbreak for them to issue a high risk. A lot of criteria have to be met. But anyways, not going to talk much on that. Enhanced risk, this doesn't go all the way up to Memphis. Could extend up there. But Jackson, Greenville, I wouldn't be surprised if this extends a little bit further into southern Arkansas, further west in the later updates. But right now, this is what we got. And all we can see right now at day 3 is, hey, there is a 30% risk of severe weather in this red area. All right. Of any kind of severe weather, large hail, tornadoes, damaging winds, and there's also a 10% risk of significant severe weather. And that could be an EF2 tornado, that could be hail pushing 2-inch diameter or larger, or that could be damaging winds pushing 65 knots or higher, 70 to 75 miles per hour, okay? So, this is going to be big. I think tomorrow you'll probably get, I would say a hatch risk for damaging winds and a hatch risk for significant tornadoes. And I would say they'll keep it at 30% for damaging winds, and I would say they'll issue a 10% risk, a significant hatch risk for tornadoes. But we'll see. I don't know if they're going to drop the 15% risk right off the bat, but they might. They might. We'll know tomorrow morning. They normally do their update around 3:30 in the morning Eastern time. But we'll see how the evolution of these storms can form. What we do know is 48 hours on the HRRR model. The next long range comes out here in about 3 hours or so. This is what it looks like at around 1 p.m. Central Time for Louisiana, Arkansas. Not a whole lot going on, but I can tell you this atmosphere is starting to get prime, especially in northwest Louisiana and southern Arkansas, where the low-level jets beginning to build in this area. You already have all the thermodynamics built into this area. They're already ready. You're waiting for that low-level jet. Once that low-level jet really gets going in here, then forcing begins, you are going to have supercells to form. Are they going to be a crazy discrete mode? Not sure. Back almost at least, I'm not going to say there's a 100% chance. There's a solid chance that you're at least going to have a semi-discrete mode. We can look at the NAM. The NAM kind of shows us an idea what potentially can happen. We'll start off around 5 p.m. Notice not a whole lot popping off at around 5 p.m. Friday. I really think this could be a late afternoon into the overnight hour threat. It could be a nocturnal threat, which of course we don't like to see. But moving into this, okay, we're getting into 6, 7, 8 p.m. and around late evening. If you consider 8 p.m. late evening, that's certainly bedtime for me and my family. But you got some nasty storms all the way up to around Jonesboro, Arkansas, all the way down, moving into Jackson. I know this doesn't look super impressive, but any of these cells could be rotating, guys. The low-level jet's ramping up, and I mean, you got a couple rounds here. Up here, it's more up here near, right where Missouri, Western Tennessee, and Arkansas meet. You got more of a linear look, and that's mainly because you have an extreme low-level jet ahead, and it's basically driving the storm mode linear. Damaging wind threat, I think, will be, high up here in these areas. But down here, watch out. Supercells will try to get going, okay? And we keep this going. And, I mean, this is at midnight Central Time, Friday night, okay? And it's just starting to look really prime. I'll be honest, okay? You see these little cells and this little kind of broken up line, these little kidney bean looks, these little hooks, those are rotating cells. Okay, and this continues. And we only can go 60 hours out, unfortunately. But we'll be able to give you another update tomorrow. But I would argue that Alabama's going to be under the gun in the wee hours of the morning, waking up Saturday morning, potentially. Not as bad as Friday night. But you got to watch these. We got to see how this trends. We'll talk about ingredients, what we do know. Big low-level jets ramping up. And, I mean, this is Friday, midday, early afternoon. The low-level jet has not really even entered Mississippi. Not really much going on, but it's just starting to take over Louisiana and Arkansas, pushing 40, 45 knot low-level jet with plenty of moisture building into this area. But it really gets going as we start to get into Friday afternoon, and then we'll stop it. This is around 7, 8, 9 p.m. You have, 50, potentially at times 60 knot low-level jet ahead, plenty of kinematic energy in the atmosphere. So these storms will have plenty of energy to feed off of as far as wind profiles. Spin to the atmosphere will certainly be here, and this will continue. And that's why I think you're going to have the potential for a damaging line of storms moving into Alabama. A lot of strong winds Friday night into Saturday morning moving into Alabama. Even Tennessee also. And I know I haven't spoke on Kentucky much, but I would like some short-range models to really come in. I know I got a lot of viewers from the Kentucky area and Tennessee, and I'm not trying to leave y'all high and dry, but the confidence is low in what's going to happen on there. That's why if you go back and look at this, for now, you just have a slight risk. I think you're going to have more so a damaging wind threat up here in areas of Tennessee and Kentucky. I really do. But we'll see. I promise you guys, I'm going to give you guys more information. I love you guys. Trust me, I got a lot of people from up in that area, and I appreciate all y'all. But we're going to keep you guys ahead of this storm. But ton of moisture, guys. The moist air, the moist sector is even more rich into Louisiana, where you got low 70 dew points. That is some rich moisture to really, really feed into these storms. You're going to be sweating bullets down here in Louisiana Friday, and it's going to feel like summer. Okay, stout moist sector moves into the area. In response, we look at these CAPE levels, and really the only thing we can look at is the NAM. And, there isn't even a lot of, convective energy, CAPE, building in the Mississippi yet. It's really here, but I'm telling you, you barely even need 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE in these areas when you have all these other ingredients, okay? 1,000 is plenty. But, you're going to have probably 1,000 to 1,500, maybe higher joules per kilogram of CAPE in the mixed layer. So plenty of fuel to the atmosphere just ready to be tapped into. Big day Friday. All the players on the field, they are. Let's talk a little snow. For my folks up here, talking Wisconsin, Michigan, a little bit of snow. Latest GFS keeps you guys all rain in Chicago. Might switch to a little bit of wet snow. We're getting into Saturday morning. This could be potentially a quick-hitting snowstorm from Milwaukee Northern Illinois, kind of those same areas we mentioned a lot. Detroit, Cleveland, all rain. But, if you're in central to northern Michigan, certainly could expect potentially some hefty snow from this. And, the latest GFS, flips y'all to snow, but I really think Chicago is going to be right on the line by the time you get into Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. This is heading on out. What does the European show? Well, we bring this in. The European really likes to keep it all rain in Chicago. And it's further north in general, just like the European has been with the storm system the entire time it's been trying to figure it out. The European has consistently been more north than the GFS. Therefore, even on the winter weather side, that shifts north also. So, you got rain for everybody in the Ohio Valley, but this could still looks like potentially a big snow from Milwaukee, and this brings it all the way up into Green Bay. It covers up all of southern Wisconsin. This pushes more snow also further west into eastern Iowa. Still looks like a winter storm. I think confidence is highest here in northern Michigan that this is going to be a late March winter storm for you guys. And definitely will be more of a hefty event for the UP of Michigan, more of the UP of Michigan if the European is correct. So we look at the GFS ensemble, guys, and the more highlighted area, like I said, is Michigan, where you potential for over a half a foot of snow, but a few inches to maybe several inches of snow is possible. Somewhere in southern Wisconsin, maybe areas of northern Illinois, Chicago, the GFS ensemble likes 3.5 inches. I'm not seeing it. Until I actually physically see it in Chicago, I'm not going to believe it's going to happen because you guys just have been really robbed. And just seems like it just cannot work out for you guys. The European ensemble going for 2 inches in Chicago, Milwaukee, maybe up to a half a foot of snow. Okay, but you see this has shifted a little bit northwest and north. So we'll see how this trends, guys. But I think this will be a quick hitting, heavy snow, wet snow for you guys up here. But that's all I got, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. God bless all y'all. Have you an update in the morning, and talk to you soon.